primary was I was going to go in the convent, and sister and the priest said, you know, don't be tempted and go out with guys. Don't go. If you're going in the convent, don't go out. But as I look back, there were a couple of highlights for high school. And one exciting thing was, and you remember Aunt Dolores, and was Aunt Dolores's wedding to Eddie Weber on June the 25th, 1950. Eddie was a really handsome guy. He reminded me of Joel McCrea, and a really nice person. And he had served in the Navy for 4 years. He had a beautiful voice. And he sang at our weddings and gatherings. And when he married Dolores, he was a butcher by trade. He came out of the Navy and became a butcher.
Oh my God.
But later, when his father died, like in the 60s, then he took over the mortuary business on Chester Street. And Dolores never attended college because, you know, as I mentioned before, she had her heart set on going to Syracuse. And her father, not like my father, felt that young women shouldn't go to college. So, so she got a job. This is funny. She got a job at Metropolitan Life Insurance Company as a secretary. And she got the job through the influence of this man who used to come to the house every, he came to the house every month, and he had like his little book, and, you know, my mother would pay him $2.50 and he'd write it in the book, and that was the life insurance. And then he got her the job at Metropolitan. Eddie had 9 sisters and 1 brother. And his brother, of course, was an alcoholic and had a lot of difficulties in life. His father and mother were Polish Catholics. And as I said, they owned the funeral home on Chester Street, across the street from Holy Rosary Church. Dolores and Eddie were married at the Shrine of the Little Flower, and my brother was ring boy, and I was one of the 4 bridesmaids. The reception was held at the Polish home on Broadway. And, you know, Italian weddings are very festival. And so when you add the culture of the Italian and the Polish, it was good. It was a lot of dancing. And Aunt Mary, our Aunt Mary, as she did at all Italian weddings, led the tarantella. Now, the tarantella is the old-fashioned Italian folk dance that's performed at Italian weddings. But some people think the tarantella was derived from the deadly spider. But the dance is really associated, I looked this up, with the city of Taranto in Italy. So the dance doesn't have anything to do with the spider. But Aunt Mary would grab any willing or unwilling soul to be part of the circle of the tarantella. And I was always a reluctant participant with that.
Fran, can you play that for us now? I don't know if the boys know the tune.
Dun, 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 dun. You know
Alexa,
it?
play the
I
tarantella.
still don't know if the boys know the tune.
I like it.
Yeah.
On accordion?
Shows. Just ask me to open video home.
What was that? Michael, you getting that?
I was asking Alexa, she couldn't find it.
Oh. So when Eddie's father died, he took over Chester Street, and then they expanded to Catonsville on Edmondson Avenue. And as you all know, because you grew up with that, Dolores and Eddie and their 3 sons had their house upstairs. You all know that, Mary Alice and stuff. And then downstairs were the viewing rooms where they had the people who died. Another highlight, I have to share this with you, of my high school years was my part-time employment at Burton's Jewelry Store on Blair Road. The summer prior to my senior year in high school, I got a job at Burton's. It was a jewelry store right on Blair Road. It was very popular. It repaired watches. It sold costume jewelry, engagement rings.
Sorry.
That's okay. Did you get it?
Feel free to dance. Andiamo, andiamo.
Andiamo.
So the jewelry store sold everything, and it was owned by a man, Robert Swerden, who was a robust Jewish man with red hair and a roving eye. I loved working in the store, and our families quickly became friends. His wife, Marion, and they had 2 children, Larry and Marcy, and they visited our house, and we visited them, and we went to their bar mitzvah and their bar mitzvah. I really became enthusiastic with the job, and by the end of the summer, I was dressing the front window. You know how they had the store windows and the jewelry cases. And then in my senior year of high school at Catholic High, I continued to work at Burton's on weekends and 1 night a week. There's no fear.
Who was Burton, though? Where did that name come from?
I think his name was, I don't know, Burton Swerlin. Probably Burton Swerlin.
That was his first name. Okay.
They had to use a Goya name.
That's what
Exactly right.
Who wants Swertlin's jewelry? Yeah. Yeah.
And the job did not cut into my social life because I didn't have a social life. So, but in addition to Mr. Swerlin, his uncle Manny was the watch repairman. Now, later, Manny became manager of the Hillendale Burton store. So then I worked for Manny. But, and there was a girl that worked there. Her name was Leah. And she was about 22 years old. And she and I didn't work together because she worked days, I worked nights. But we got along really well. And wherever she went, she attracted attention. She reminded me of that typical blonde that you see. She was well built, flirty, and willing, and she made lots of sales just by leaning over the counter and showing the goods that she had to sell. The Christmas season at Burton's was exciting. The store was busy with customers of every age, and of course my favorite customers were the men shopping for gifts for their girlfriends or wives at the last minute. And they came in the store totally clueless as what to buy. I wasn't paid a commission, but there was one item in the store that garnished a bonus for anyone. And this was a boudoir vanity set. Now, I don't know if you know what a boudoir vanity set is, but it is where they had the brush, the comb, the little things to hold stuff in.
The mirror.
The mirror, all of this. It was like 5 pieces to the boudoir vanity set. And it was a big deal. And if you sold one of those, you got a bonus. So, and the perfume atomizer. So the thing was, the covering on the mirror and the brush would vary according to, the cost would vary according to what it was. Some mirrors were covered with gauche plastic pastoral scenes. Some were covered with gaudy gold plate, but the premier was a sterling silver vanity set in a blue satin box. And the markup for the vanity sets was extraordinary. So that's why he gave anybody who sold a vanity set. So any guy who came in clueless, you say, have you thought about this vanity set? This beautiful vanity, it has the brush and the comb and the atomizer. Oh, she'll love it, she'll love it. And I think one Christmas I sold 3 silver ones. Everyone marveled at my tenacity, but I saw it as an extension of my debating techniques. I continued to work at Burton's during the summer. During the summer months with that. But I must admit,
Sorry, it's my phone.
that's okay. But I must admit, the pinnacle of high school, of my high school, was meeting Robert Edwin Patrick Kelly. As I mentioned, I had a few dates in my junior and senior year, but really nobody I was interested or anybody was interested in me. In fact, I didn't even have anybody to take to my junior prom, and I just asked somebody who I used to go skating with. And again, I was conflicted about dating, but each year Catholic High held a spring musical. The play selected in my senior year was Ramona. Ramona is an American novel written by Helen Hunt Jackson in 1884. And that's the story that we were going to dramatize. It's the story of an orphan girl living in California who is part Scottish and part Native American. And she suffers from racial discrimination and hardship. Does that sound familiar? Well, never fear. She finds true love in Act 3. Since 1923, the book has had 4 film versions, and Catholic High's play Ramona had music, love, conflict, and enthusiastic cast. And I looked this up, and as recent as 2018, a musical adaptation was written and performed in California of Ramona. My friend Pat Russo played Ramona, and she really was perfect for the role. And I was in the chorus and played a servant girl with like 2 speaking lines. Males for the play were recruited from Calvert Hall, and Robert Edwin Kelly was selected to play Father Salvador, a Catholic priest. It was a premium role. During rehearsals, if you weren't on stage, you were expected to sit in the gym and wait for your stage time. And that's when it happened. One afternoon during rehearsals, I was in the gym doing homework, and Bob Kelly sat next to me. He introduced himself and said,
Grandfather.
Was he wearing his collar?
Oh my God.
He was in
Oh
the
my God.
priest brigade.
Fran, this explains a lot.
Was he a priest?
no.
Oh,
he was a
played
priest
one
in
of
the
his
play.
days.
Played one in the show.
Okay. He played one, just played one in the play.
Uh-huh.
Fran Lipton.
He was from Calvert Hall High School. And through the weeks, during rehearsals, we sat next to each other every day. We talked about everything. He was Irish, the oldest of 3 brothers, lived in Dundalk, was a senior in Calvert Hall, and Calvert Hall was in downtown at the time. He liked poetry, movies, acting, and spaghetti. He had blue eyes and light brown hair, a wonderful smile, and he made you laugh. I was more relaxed around him than I'd ever been around a guy. I confided to Thelma, my friend Thelma, that I thought I had a crush on Bob Kelly, and she told me forget it, since she heard that Bob Kelly had a girlfriend who went to the rival school, Seton. I didn't believe that he could be so nice to me if he had a girlfriend. I didn't want the rehearsals or the performance to end, but of course they did. After the final performance, there was a cast party in the school cafeteria, and there was Bob Kelly with a blonde, a pretty blonde.
Oh.
I was crushed. I was sure that was the end of Bob Kelly and felt disheartened. Although I'd never been on a date with him, the many afternoons we spent together had been very special. And I will talk more about Bob Kelly because that was not the end of Bob Kelly.
Whoa!
Wow.
Whoa.
Hanger.
And I did Google Bob Kelly, Robert Edwin Patrick Kelly, and he lives in Melbourne, Florida, and he is now 87 years old.
Did you find
I-
pictures of him?
I never contacted him. I just Googled
Yeah.
him.
Uh-huh.
Is he cute?
You know, I think it was.
Is he rich?
No, he got into, and that's another whole story. He got into trouble. He can't. Well, I can't tell you the rest because it's so exciting.
Really? 'Cause
But
I
he-
did my 33andMe, and I'm related to an 87-year-old man in Melbourne, Florida.
Oh, stop.
You're like, do you know anybody in Melbourne, Florida? No. No.
Michael showed the picture of Bob Kelly. It's the only picture I have with him because we went to a dance together at the last Zoom that we had. It was he and I standing on the steps in my house, and I have an evening gown on, and that's the only picture I have of him. And that was after graduation. There was a dance, and I asked Bob Kelly to go. But I'll tell you more about Bob Kelly because this is very exciting.
Oh, wow.
Wait, I'm looking for the Bob Kelly photo. Which I can't find. I can't seem to find, Fran.
That's okay. No worries.
Oh, I think this is it.
That is it.
Oh, you showed that last time, did you?
Yeah, but I didn't put a name to
He,
it.
he looks just like Jeff.
Scary.
Wow. That's him on the right?
I don't look like a little girl. Don't I
What
look
was that,
like
Mom? That was your prom?
No, it wasn't the prom. It was after graduation, the alumni gave a dance, and I was able to invite him then. He had broken up with the Seton girl by then.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. What did you do? Did you have a part in that?
I think Thelma did.
That a girl, Thelma.
And the Seton girls. Love your stories, Fran.
That's a good one, Mom. I
Love
cannot
your
wait